Hey everybody, welcome to CostumeTrek. Today is the big day. We're finally showing you the Grendel's mother making a video. That's not the actual title, but whatever. So it took us a long time to build and there was a lot involved with it. We're finally bringing out the video so that you can see what we did and what we went through to bring Grendel's mother to stage, and to stage in a foreign country, in New Zealand of all places. So the basis of the costume was this corset that Nola had made, and one of the primary things that we'd done on it, the primary technique that we were learning with that, was the electroforming method. All the bones and all the coppery structural bits that you see on the corset itself went through this process called electroforming, which, if you're familiar with like plating or electroplating, it's a similar process, but where in plating you just kind of like, dip the material into it and it takes on the color. The electroforming, you leave your piece in the acid bath for a lot longer, like hours, 2, 3, 8, 12 hours sometimes. And then the transferring metal then accumulates on your piece and gives it this really cool crusty look that's like almost corally, and it's really awesome. And when it works, it really works well. The problem with it is it's a real finicky process, and sometimes it doesn't come out well. And so we stopped working with it a long time ago, but it is something we're probably going to take up again in the future, hopefully. We'll see. So anyway, I'll be talking through the video at the same time as things are going on. There's also some sound bites of me inside there doing things, and they're a little out of context because we kind of had a different idea for how this video was going to go. But you know what? I just wanted to get the video out so that you guys can see it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So I went online and got Alexis Noriega's, the Crooked Feathers plans for wing frames. Now I'm not going to show you really what it is, because that's on her Patreon page and you have to pay for that. So, and out of respect for her, if you want these plans, you need to go to her Patreon page like we did and get the plans. But it is worth it. The plans are good. The only thing I did differently is I made this prototype piece, and instead of stacking the pieces one on top of each other in a layer, I made them so that they're all on a single plane, so that this piece goes into this piece and this piece goes into this piece. And my prototype worked very, very well. So after doing that, I went on ahead and I cut out all my pieces, and I'm about to assemble all these and find out if my plan worked. One of the other things I did differently than from Alexis's plans is, instead of using just all 3/4 inch square aluminum tubing, I actually used different sizes of aluminum tubing. I went with larger, closer towards the base of the frame, and then went out smaller. The piece that I'm working with right now there at the base, that's 1 inch square aluminum tubing. And then the two longer pieces in the middle are the 3/4 inch. The top piece out there is 1/2 inch channel. That is not even a full square, that's a 1/2 inch channel. For the backing plate, the mounting plate to actually hold it to your back, we used high-density polyethylene, which we purchased from our friends at Central Plastic and Rubber Company. I'll put a link for them in the description below. It's a 1/4 inch thick, and we warmed it up in the oven. Now you do have to hold it in place for a while. It's a little more tenacious than ABS, but once you get it molded into shape, it is very strong and maintains its shape very well. The mounting brackets that came with the actuators were just way too big for this project, so I had to make my own. In order to figure out where I would mount the actuators, I took one actuator and extended it all the way out and left the other actuator in, and then temporarily mounted the wing frames to a piece of foam core, and then moved them in and out, and decided how far up and down the wing frame itself the actuator needed to be mounted, because that would determine how far and how quickly the wing frames would open. Once I figured out the mounting points for the actuators, then I decided to make a paper pattern to transfer over to a piece of high-density polyethylene. So how I made my pattern here was I started by folding a piece of paper in half. Then I put out on here where my holes needed to go, and I drew in these cool little swoops and then cut everything out and punched the holes out so that when you open your pattern, then you know all the holes are symmetrical and right where they need to be. Once I transferred all the marks to a piece of polyethylene, I cut and drill it out. The reason this piece is remaining flat is because the wings have to have a flat surface to mount to, so I'm going to mount this piece of polyethylene to the curved piece of polyethylene that we molded to the back of the dress form. Once I cut out both pieces, I spray painted them with the special kind of spray paint that sticks to plastic. So that piece of polyethylene that we were molding to the back of the dress form earlier, it got cut down into this spoon shape, and I cut slots into the top of it so that I could attach these straps to hold the wings onto the back of the wearer. So this may look like I had everything all together and just did one final assembly, but in actuality I had to put the wings together and take them apart and put them together and take them apart several times to make sure all the parts went together correctly. We did eventually go with 2 batteries to power the unit, even though you're only seeing 1 battery here. Just with the added weight of everything that we put on the wings later on, we had to have 2 batteries. I hid the receiver unit for the remote control for the actuators between the 2 pieces of polyethylene so as to kind of protect it and then also hide it too so people didn't know it was there. Okay, here we are. Primary construction on the wings is complete, and we're about to do our first full-on test. Here we go. Helps if I plug it in first. Okay, it's plugged in. We have power on our little red LED. Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. It works, it works, it works, it works, it works. Alright, we're going to take a little bit of a break now. This video has gone on really long. If you want to stay informed, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And next time, Nola is going to tell us all about how we brought fiber optic fabric into this costume and put it all together.